Good night, YouTube. Good night, everybody. I've been meaning to do this one discussion type of vlog. I did do it, and I was not happy with the turnout, So I deleted that one vlog. And now I finally have time to do another one on this particular topic. It's really some sort of a default because the vlog that I did 2 weeks ago, a lot of things happened last week in the media that would have gone right along with all of my premises. So I'll start all over again. I was not happy with the last vlog on MoNique because I ended up having viewers who wanted to go into the different discussions and it was way off topic. So now this is an opportunity to have a more focused point of view about what's happening with MoNique worldwide, MoNique the comedian. I would say the number one reason why I like MoNique to where I could say I love MoNique, because truth is, I don't know her. I don't know her temperaments. I don't know her character. But if I were to venture and say I love MoNique, it would be because of that one thing. Because I actually like her comedy. I enjoy her comedy. But I love that one thing that she did many times. The one thing that really got me to appreciate this artist was because MoNique took time to go to the prisons. Do you or anyone remember MoNique going to prisons and to perform comedy for those women prisoners? Well, when she did that, that was the one gesture that made me say, I love this artist. I love this comedian. Because my first teaching job, well, was it my first teaching job? My first, quote, quote, teaching job, because I have been teaching since I was young, been sharing with others, teaching. But my first, quote, unquote, teaching job was at a medium security prison, upstate New York. Yep. And let me tell you, I have not once come across any of my former students. And I have also taught other places, and I will every once in a while, you'll bump into a student on the end, online. I connect with many of my students. But the one place that I have not had anyone say, hey, remember me? It's from that prison. So this could be the one thing that reconnects me to one of my former students. The place that I worked in was the Ogdensburg medium security, Ogdensburg correctional facility, and it was a medium security type of facility. So it was Ogdensburg correctional facility, upstate New York, and having had that experience, I haven't had, and I was at an all-male prison. But if you've ever worked or if you've ever done anything in a prison, and you know the experience of walking in there, it's the most, I would say it's a sacrifice just to walk in a prison, to share with prisoners. So when MoNique did that, you guys don't understand how at that moment she became it for me. She became an artist that I love. Because I know I want to call it humiliation, because that's what it is. Even if you're not a prisoner, but just going into a prison can be so humiliating for you, even if you're not a prisoner. So let alone a prisoner dwelling in prisons, So when I saw those specials and I saw MoNique reaching out to those women, it touched my heart because I had not taught in a women prison, but I had done workshops in a women prison. When I was younger, I had the opportunity I was at Florida State University doing a dance intensive with the urban bush women. And we did a dance intensive. I think it was about 50 women from all over the world. We came together at Florida State University and we shared and we learned so much. And at that moment, 2 of the women invited me to come to do a dance workshop at a prison because she had been teaching at that prison. So it was time to do community work. And I had a chance to go to a women's prison. And let me tell you, it was more shattering than having had to teach in a men's prison. To just been there, and we were in a gym type of setting, and just watching all these women. Oh my God. You got to be somebody who can walk out of there because you may leave yourself in that place. It's not easy to see. Oh my God. So when I saw MoNique, and I don't know if you guys have seen those specials, but for me, she had me there because I know she didn't have to do it. And when I met those women at those prisons, and all they want is a piece of the outside. Most of the time, that's all they want is something from the outside. So when I saw her reach out that way, because I'm a community worker, and when I saw her do that, I was with MoNique. And of course, I always enjoyed her comedy, but that gesture, that más fuerte, I'm still proud of you, MoNique. So I understand that MoNique is a human being with faults, and I understand that MoNique does whatever she does. You know, I'm not pleading a case for her. I'm just discussing what's happening, because what's happening with MoNique is just, there's a proverb in my culture where the same stick that beats the black dog is the same stick that's gonna beat the white dog. So, instead of looking at the white dog and the black dog, look at the stick. So that's why I envision to share, because what's happening with MoNique, I see a lot of, basically the African American mass is entangled with no choice. It's a no choice. It's like a no choice factor. What do they call that? A zero sum? Okay. For the African American mass to win via, if MoNique should be a win for the African American mass, it will require the African American mass to define what it is. If it doesn't do that, MoNique cannot win. The same stick that beats the black dog is the same stick that beats the white dog. So why are you looking at the color of the dogs? Why aren't you looking at the sticks? You see, I come from a culture of wisdom. I come from a culture of the original people of the earth. This is no joke, people. Real Haitians like me, I'm not talking about the retail Haitians. I'm talking about real Haitians like me. We have access to the wisdom of our ancestors. And so when situations like that come up, it's very easy. It's very easy to see what's going on. Okay. This is very interesting because MoNique may not be able to win. At the end of the day, that who's going to win is going to be the stick. Not everybody will understand the wisdom that I'm sharing, because I'm sharing old wisdom, but it is old wisdom that will keep you grounded when you're faced with situations like this. Like I'm looking at this on a deeper, and I'm looking at this on a critical thinking level where I'm using logic. This is a culture where you have Netflix, but it's not Netflix that MoNique is at war with. Netflix is the picture that we see. So Netflix is just another extension of everybody that she's probably pissed off or who blackballed her, but it's just the image. It's just what we are seeing right now. But at the same time, this is what they do to her. They bring in Tiffany Haddish. But is Tiffany Haddish African American? She's not. It's like saying I'm African American. I'm not. Wait a minute. Hold up. The term African American is a hijacked term. People like me, we have to relinquish it to the people who took it over. We can't be fighting people over words. We know who we are. We know what blood runs through our veins. People with wisdom do not fight over technical terms. We do not get into the semantics of life. We live life. We do not chase happiness. We are happy. We're not in a pursuit of happiness. We imbibe it. Like it's like asking me to go to the refrigerator to find you a blue apple. That's what it would be like. So, let me rewind. Okay. What's happening with MoNique is deeper than the African American mass, the same African American mass that is supposed to be for MoNique. But MoNique can't win with that mass. The stick that beats the white dog is the same stick that beats the black dog. Don't look at the black dog. Don't look at the white dog. Look at the stick. The African American mass is not looking at the stick. For MoNique to win, the African American mass has to look at the stick. But they're not. They're looking at the black dog and the white dog and they're saying white dog, black dog. And it's just the color of the dogs, but aren't they the same dogs? It's old wisdom, people. It's old, ancient wisdom. So I wanted to do this vlog over because now Netflix, but it's not Netflix that's bringing Tiffany Haddish. Tiffany Haddish is coming from a whole niche, okay? Like you may think, okay, Tiffany Haddish, Netflix, it's like a narcissist. Is that how you pronounce that word? Narcissist. Is it a narcissist or a narcissist? Okay. It's a narcissist. It's like somebody who's into narcissism. That's what Netflix represents at that moment. If you've ever had a friend or somebody near or mate who's a narcissist, what they do, okay? They will pitch one person's love against the other. Okay? So they'll be like, don't you see? She brought me flowers. What did you bring me? That's a narcissistic behavior. They will pitch one person over the other person. So this is what Netflix is doing with MoNique. And they're not doing it to MoNique, they're doing it to the African American mass. Netflix is saying, don't you see Haddish? Forget MoNique. Haddish brought flowers, did MoNique. So it's like in that moment, you have to understand Tiffany Haddish is coming with more than just Netflix. She has other backings behind her. How do I know that? I don't know that for sure, but I know that she's coming with juice that is privileged and that she's only allowed to spill it because she's been given permission to spill it. Like Tiffany is coming with news of Jay-Z and Beyonce. Like, that's an upgrade. That's to elevate her status against MoNique. But at the same time, if the African American mass were to just, understand, Tiffany Haddish is not an African American. She's an Ethiopian American. An Ethiopian American is not the same as an African American. And I'm actually writing a book on this, so I can only touch the surface of this topic to just have this discussion, to just say what I want to say about MoNique. Because MoNique is stepping back when MoNique should be going hard to educate her community. You have a job to do. So, see, it's the same thing that a lot of popular public figures do. They don't want to do the hard work. And I'm not saying MoNique doesn't. But what I'm saying is the work that needs to be done is to educate your community. Okay, before I go any further, I know that MoNique watches my channel because she took one of my theses. When you hear MoNique now, and she's on television saying, well, all we keep saying is be humble. Well, where was that discussion had? That's my thesis. And if you go back to my vlogs, you will see where I discuss that in depth. So I know she watches this channel. That's why I'm talking to her, because she needs to come back to the teacher's desk. For MoNique to have an inkling of a semblance of a win, she has to educate her community. She has to explain to her community that we have been identifying ourselves as African Americans. And this is where the trap is, okay? And I'm writing a book right now, and in my book I go really deep into this, but I'm just going to touch the surface of this right now. This is it. To call yourself an African American is to monopolize the entire Americas. And this is not by error. It's not by error, because you can see the exportation of this brand everywhere in the Americas, okay? So people like me, we're not going to buy the brand. We're going to relinquish. We're going to relinquish it to you. So the term African American is the term that's used to describe, and I'm not going to go in depth, but is the Africans who came into the United States and whose ancestors were terrorized and who were forced to build this nation gratis. So says the story. So if that's the term to describe African Americans, how can Tiffany Haddish be an African American? So if you're an African American, how can you choose Tiffany Haddish over MoNique? Because isn't it MoNique who's the true African American? Like these folks, like you people keep destroying everything that you're supposed to build. You keep making all the wrong choices. And let me tell you another wrong choice. And I'm going to give you an example of another wrong choice. I heard from another YouTuber that I like. And just because I'm mentioning this YouTuber doesn't mean I don't like you. I don't have hatred for persons. Okay? Now, I heard from this YouTuber that at the Apollo recently, Richard Pryor's son got booed at the Apollo. Now, what better place for African Americans to get justice against this individual, this rotten piece of what fruit rots the worst? Because I like fruits. Let me see what fruit rots the fastest and the worst. Because that's what he would be. What fruit rots the worst and fastest? Oranges last too long. This guy could not be an orange. Probably an apple. But what better place for the African Americans to get justice against the destruction that Richard Pryor created But no. they deny that justice. You see? So how can MoNique win? When the African Americans, when the mass of African American people, when it's time for them to collect justice, they deny it. But then they will turn around and raise dust about injustice elsewhere. But then if you don't collect every piece of justice, how can you get justice? Justice is not like a lump that falls, that befalls you. It's not like where you have a whole outfit. Okay, even if you have a whole outfit, you have to collect the blouse, you have to collect the shoes, you have to collect the individual pieces to make a whole outfit. But when it comes to justice, the African Americans deny it over and over. Over and over. So for MoNique to get any semblance of a win, she's going to have to be the leader to educate her people. And guess what? That's not an easy task, because that's a people that is buried, deeply buried into lies. Like, I don't know if it can be done. So the same stick that beats the black dog is the same stick that beats the white dog. The same stick that beats MoNique is the same stick that beats the African American community. So now the African American community is all into Tiffany Haddish. Tiffany Haddish is the machine behind her. The fact that Tiffany Haddish can even talk about Beyonce like that tells you that she has privilege. So who's bringing her in? This is an Ethiopian American girl. She's not an African American woman. MoNique is like, and so this is what we're seeing too. It's like, people are forgetting what it means to be loyal, what it means to have allegiance. You got to have allegiance to something, otherwise you'll just be blowing in the wind. So if you're supposed to be an African American, have allegiance to MoNique. So that's all I got to say on this topic. Yeah, Tiffany Haddish is, the community that Tiffany Haddish comes from is not very receptive. And I've seen so much of that. It's not even receptive to African Americans that like they think. It's like when you're looking at the communities and their interactions, and then you're looking at the African American choice, you got to question that choice. That's not a logical choice. So I wish you all good night.